Dougal Robertson was no stranger to the sea. As a former British Merchant Navy officer, he had spent years navigating treacherous waters. But nothing could have prepared him for what was coming. For years, he and his wife, Lynn, dreamed of sailing the world with their children. They sold everything, bought a 43-foot wooden schooner named Lucette, and set off on what was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime. For 17 months, they lived in a paradise few could imagine, sailing from England to the Caribbean, then through the Panama Canal, across the vast expanse of the Pacific. The ocean was their playground, and life was simple. But in an instant their world shattered. It was June 15, 1972. The Robertsons were 200 miles west of the Galapagos Islands, sailing through calm waters, when the unthinkable happened. A massive jolt rocked the boat. Before anyone could react, the hull beneath them exploded into splinters. A pod of killer whales had rammed the boat, their enormous bodies slamming into the wooden frame like wrecking balls. The wood cracked like gunfire, and water gushed in. Dougal barely had time to scream a warning before the boat began to sink beneath them. Water surged into the cabin. Supplies floated past. The entire family scrambled for anything they could grab before the ship went under. Within a minute, Lucette was gone. Vanished. The family, Dougal, Lynn, their teenage sons Douglas and Sandy, and 2 hitchhikers they had picked up along the way, Robin and Maurice, were alone in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. No radio. No distress signal. No one knew where they were. They had only seconds to escape with whatever they could grab. Their entire survival came down to a small inflatable life raft and a tiny 9-foot fiberglass dinghy. Inside the raft they had a few cans of food, a small supply of water, a fishing kit, a flare gun. That was it. No GPS. No emergency beacon. Just a handful of supplies in the vast, endless ocean. For the first 48 hours, they waited. Surely, someone would find them. A passing ship, a rescue plane, something. But nothing came. Days passed. The sun scorched their skin during the day, and the nights were freezing cold. Their food supply dwindled fast. Inside the raft they had a few cans of food, a small supply of water, a fishing kit, a flare gun. By day 5, their drinking water was gone. By day 7, they were desperate. Then came the sharks. On one terrifying night, Douglas dangled his arm over the dinghy, trying to pull in a fish. Suddenly, a shark lunged. It missed, barely. But it was a warning, the ocean was not on their side. By day 16, their situation turned even worse. The life raft, already battered by the elements, began to fall apart. The rubber ripped. It wasn't going to last. Their only option? Abandon the raft and cram all 6 people into the tiny, unstable 9-foot dinghy. It was designed for 2 people. Now it held 6. It was cramped, barely afloat, and offered no protection from the ocean. But it was their only chance. With no fresh water, they were forced to drink turtle blood to stay alive. Their bodies wasted away. Their lips cracked from dehydration. Their muscles weakened. Hope was slipping away. Then came the storm. Towering waves. Gale-force winds. A night straight out of hell. The dinghy flipped, sending everyone into the black, raging sea. Then came the storm. Sharks were everywhere. Massive shadows circling beneath them, waiting. They had no choice but to fish for food, but every catch was a life-or-death battle. For hours, they clung to the overturned boat, fighting to stay alive. The cold stole their strength. Every second felt like their last. Finally, the storm passed. They somehow managed to flip the dinghy back over and crawl inside. But they were now more broken than ever. By day 30, they were ghosts of themselves, skeletal, sunburned, barely conscious. By day 35, they had accepted death. By day 38, Dougal spotted a shadow on the horizon, a Japanese fishing boat. He screamed with the last breath he had. For a moment, nothing. Then, a flash of movement, the ship turned toward them. They were saved. When they were pulled aboard, the crew could barely believe what they were seeing. They had survived, 38 days lost at sea, no fresh water. Sharks, starvation, storms. They were saved. Their story became one of the greatest survival tales in maritime history. But could you have survived? If you enjoyed this crazy true story, hit like and subscribe. Got an insane adventure story you want us to cover? Drop it in the comments.